everyone. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Get Ready. And expect to have a lot of fun with this one. This is someone who was introduced to me by a mutual friend of ours in Russia who said, you guys should meet. And then we met and found out we have a number of things in common, including having gone to the same hypnotherapy school and stuff like that. So let me tell you a little bit about my new friend, Alicia Cramer. She's a business mindset coach. She's the author of Hypnosis for Success and The Outside the Box Entrepreneur. Love that. She works with high growth business owners to eliminate disempowering beliefs so they can create massive wealth and success. Welcome to the show, Alicia.
Thank you, Brad. I'm so excited to be chatting with you today.
So, in terms of this mindset stuff, I mean, come on, business. What does mindset and limiting beliefs have to do with that? It's just about having the budget and a good marketing strategy, right?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was hung up on this idea for a long time that business people were somehow, they just thought different, right? So definitely no woo-woo. Absolutely nothing that is outside the box. Very much kind of cut and dry, black and white. This is the way we do things, hard nose, work hard type of thing. Now, there are a lot of people that operate that way, but there are a lot of really amazing, very, very conscious individuals in this world who are called to do incredible things like yourself, right? And there is a segment of the business community, even my clients who own multi-million-dollar companies, who just understand that when you have fears, doubts, insecurities, old disempowering programming around money, it does adversely affect your success. It does. And you have to deal with that. So when I started in on this, I had my general hypnotherapy practice and clients were coming in, and the ones that I was getting really, really, really excited about were all business owners. Now, I had been an aspiring entrepreneur since the time I was 18, and I had failed over and over and over again, including filing bankruptcy when I was, I think, 21. And it was very, very disheartening. And it wasn't until I recognized that I really needed to do my own inner work. I really needed to work on my mindset if I was ever going to create a truly successful business. So fast forward all those years later, and I'm in my hypnotherapy practice, and I've got these people coming in, and they're coming in for, self-confidence, public speaking. Sometimes it would even be something completely non-related to business, quitting smoking, weight loss, whatever it was. But these were the people I was just like, ooh, I just want to get in your head. And because I'd hear their limiting beliefs. So they'd be talking about, I want to lose 20 pounds, or I've got to quit smoking, or I'm struggling with this, but I'm hearing them talking about these different things in their business, and I'm hearing their limiting beliefs. And I just knew those were my people. And that's when I started to transition to an international brand, working as the kind of the go-to hypnotherapist for entrepreneurs, but really incorporating in like the whole mindset component, because it's so much more than just lay in the chair or, lay on the couch, sit in the chair. I'm going to go through my little song and dance, and I'm going to put a couple of really cool new seeds in your subconscious mind that are going to germinate, and you're going to live happily ever after. There's, so much more to it. And so on a really practical, pragmatic level, mindset is absolutely the foundation to creating success in life and in business.
Yeah, I would say in pretty much every area of our lives. And, we certainly see that in one of the ways that many people can see more clearly is in sports. When you see the highest level athletes, they say the difference between the really, really good athletes and the exceptional athletes is the mindset.
Absolutely. They all have coaches. They have people that are helping them to keep their mental game on point, because it doesn't take much for us to kind of slide off into lazy thinking. And to create the type of mental conditioning that we need to really excel, that's an ongoing process. It's just like the athlete who's training at least 5 days a week in some capacity, if not more. And as individuals, as parents, as business owners, we need to make sure that we're always conditioning ourselves for the success that we ultimately want.
Yeah. And I think that so many people don't see that, particularly in something like business. It's this and this. And whereas in sports, you can see more clearly the levels of achievement, winning championships and things. And in terms of business, obviously there's dollars and cents of the business, but I think a lot of people can sell themselves short and not say, well, I need to look at my mindset. An athlete couldn't afford to do that. At a certain level, there's no way an athlete can say, I'm good enough. There is no good enough at that level of sports. But in business, it's very simple. And so we can step away from that stuff that people might say is woo-woo. I had someone at a conference once say, would you say that what you do is in the realm of the woo-woo? And I said, no, I wouldn't. You might, because you don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people will step back from that. And in the business world, where it's for a lot of people, it's looking cool and having a certain thing, and to look at that kind of stuff might go, oh, no, what would people think of me?
Right.
Well, what will they think of you when they see the levels of achievement that you're not allowing yourself to get to because you're not looking at what those limiting beliefs are?
That is an incredible point, and I have to just spend a little bit of time there, because one of the things that I realized early on is the more successful a lot of business owners become, the more it becomes taboo to let anybody know that you don't have it all together. So things become very, very internalized and secretive. I had to create a very confidential environment for my clients so that they could step forward and say, I've been struggling with fear around money, or I've been struggling with confidence issues, or I admit that I do not have the right approach with my employees, and there's something going on within me, some kind of power struggle, some kind of issue around, feeling worthy or respected or whatever it may be. When we don't feel it's safe to ask for help, we won't. And it's really sad because so many people struggle in silence because of their ego, because of pride. And that's why I oftentimes say, I've got clients that are worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. Okay. So don't think that you're so high up on a pedestal that you can't be helped. You've got to put your ego aside, because your ego is going to be the obstacle that stands between you and what you could be experiencing.
Yeah. And at that level, it's like, and why wouldn't you want to? Except that we have all of this programming about why we couldn't or shouldn't. And there's a certain level of success where if you're not that person who feels compelled to reach out to someone like you and say, all right, I'm doing fantastic, I am knocking out of the ballpark, and I know that I'm still coming short of what's possible for me, either professionally or maybe just personally. And then there's that level below where it's like, I'm doing well enough and I can't show that there's something there. And I have clients who, it's very confidential and don't want it to be known that they're doing this. it would be so awesome if we were at a place where people are like, well, of course I want people to know, because I want to show the folks that it can get better. Nothing's so good that it can't get better. And why settle for anything less than what's possible?
Right, right. Yes, absolutely. So it's funny because, and you alluded to this already, when you look at people who are very, very, very successful in business, there's a large segment of them that are just so heavily invested in their business, in their thing. They're really not, they're you're just looking at it from the outside and you're seeing all of the business success and all the financial success, but you don't actually know what's going on behind the scenes. And there's a very, very small segment that will openly say, I'm reading books about mindset. I'm investing in my personal growth, my personal development. But what a lot of times people don't realize is that some of those other people who you see that are very successful and look like they're just, grinding away to achieve their success, they have their secret stash of Napoleon Hill. They have their secret stash of hypnosis audios. They're doing it. They're just not doing it out in the open for everyone to see.
Because at a certain point, you don't get to that level if you're not doing some kind of mindset work.
Even when people don't realize that they're doing the mindset work, so in many cases they are, because if you are reading books, I have my master's degree in metaphysical science. And it's funny because a lot of people, they hear the word metaphysics and it's immediate. Oh, there's the woo-woo stuff. But we're literally talking about understanding what has been misunderstood. There is a scientific element to all of this. We're not just saying, oh, well, that happened one time, so let's turn that into a universal law.
Right.
We're talking about fundamental principles, things that are as concrete as the law of gravity. And when you understand how the universe works, when you understand how the mind works, you actually become far less superstitious and far more pragmatic and practical. And now you can take all of your superstitious old beliefs, because a lot of people have got them, right? And you can start to rationalize, and you can actually stop pushing against the way that the universe works, against the way that the mind works, and start to work within that construct of universal laws, universal principles, how the mind works, so that you're not fighting against yourself. And that is something I think a lot of people, they don't understand it. Nobody's ever really explained it.
Right. It's not part of the common practice and teaching for most people. And so there's a sense of, well, I should know what I don't know. If I don't already know it, then it's probably not important. It'd be like a kid showing up to the first day of football practice and the coach saying, look, if you don't already know how to throw a perfect spiral, then, we're out of luck. It's like, you can't know what you don't know. And there's nothing that can't be improved upon. And it's having that willingness to say, I'm willing to investigate this and see how I can get better, which has so many benefits, not just for us, but then what we're able to share and the way we share our gifts and talents.
Right. If you're not where you want to be, then there's always work to do.
And even if you're convincing yourself that you're where you want to be, you may be trying to tell yourself, I'm fine. No. This is good enough. And there may be little things around that are not quite as good as they could be. But we also have a lot of programming about, looking cool and saying that you've got it all together and insisting you've got it all together regardless. And, hey, too bad if eventually that pressure cooker explodes. And things go wrong. But, in the meantime, you look cool.
Yeah. Well, I let my pride hold me back for a long time. And sometimes you just have to really sit down with yourself and have like a stern talking to, a real heart to heart, knock it off. But that's what we do. And that is kind of a little trick that the mind likes to play on us. We're unhappy and we can feel it. We can feel that it's off. But if we just can positive talk ourselves out of it, if we can just keep pushing it away as though that's going to actually get rid of it, and it doesn't, it's insidious. It will not go away by ignoring it. Nothing is going to change if you don't change it.
What we resist persists.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And being able to look at it and say, all right, I deserve better than this, which is a whole other mindset issue for a lot of people.
That is. And virtually everyone has some degree of the self-worth, self-doubt, self-esteem, self-confidence stuff. It's funny because you see people who really have like that kind of alpha male thing in business, and especially common in sales. People look at that and they say, oh, gee, I sure wish I could be more confident like so and so. But you can tell what's really going on deeper in someone's mind by what they're projecting. So when you have that seemingly very confident, assertive individual in business, is it actually genuine, or is that their cover for their unresolved, unaddressed insecurities? And it's so interesting because that tends to be a huge trigger for those little introverts who are using their old fears, doubts, insecurities, and limiting beliefs as the excuse to not put themselves out there. So it really goes around. I mean, it's everyone. Everyone can benefit from working through some of that old conditioning. We have a lifetime worth of stuff in our subconscious minds that is not serving us. And people have a tendency to look at their results and they get so down on themselves. I should be better. I'm not as far as I want to be. I don't have as much money as I want to have. I'm not as successful as I want to be. And they're beating themselves up over it without recognizing you've been conditioned throughout your entire life with other people's fears, doubts, insecurities, limiting beliefs. You've watched and witnessed so many people throughout your entire life struggling with those insecurities and that self-doubt. And they've been projecting that onto you. And then you go out into the world and you're trying to create something incredible for yourself. And you're contending with all of that old conditioning. So now you're trying to create something beautiful for yourself, and you're dragging all of this resistance along with you. And now you're beating yourself up because you're not where you want to be, without recognizing that old stuff is in there. You didn't choose it, but you are the one who has to do the work to let it go. It's not going to go away on its own. And the only way that I could even possibly justify, which I don't, the only way I could possibly justify you beating yourself up is because you're not doing the work to let that stuff go, because you do have the choice. And there are so many great people who can help, right?
Yeah. And so much of that is the programming of you shouldn't get help. You're not supposed to ask for directions. Or some people still don't know. So it's like some people are still surprised to find out there's what is mindset? What do you mean limiting belief? And because they've been around people who either haven't heard or in denial, and and we may be around people who don't want us to be free, because then how do they justify their confinement? And it's really, once we hear that and find out that these opportunities are there, it's like, oh, okay, let me explore this, and being willing to explore it. And I know you do EFT as well, and that's one of the things. The problem with EFT is because it looks strange, it gives people another excuse to go, oh, well, I'm not going to do that, and miss out on those opportunities. And yeah, what's the someone just reminded me the other day, the quote from Auntie Mame of, life is a banquet and most poor suckers are starving to death. Not because they're bad or stupid, they just don't know that the feast is there or that they're allowed to have it.
Yeah. Yeah. The mind can be very, very tricky.
Very tricky.
We have been indoctrinated into a culture that is so rich with limiting beliefs and so rich with disempowered people. And now here we are, and we're the abnormal one for stepping up and saying, I deserve better than this. And yeah, you're going to have friends and you're going to have family who are not saying that to themselves yet. They're not saying I deserve better. And so when they see you doing your thing and you're changing, it might make them a little bit uncomfortable. But are you really doing them any favors by staying limited, by being a shell of yourself? You're not. You're not doing anyone any favors, including yourself. So knock it the hell off.
Don't make it comfortable for anybody else to sell themselves or the world short.
If they want to do it, it's their prerogative. Yeah. But don't let that be an excuse to live a miserable existence. Because whether you believe in reincarnation or not, we only get one shot at being this version of ourselves. Do you want to get to the end and think to yourself, man, I really squandered that away? Boy, there's so much cool stuff that I could have done if I wouldn't have been so scared. If I wouldn't have been so darn concerned about what everybody else thinks, right? And here's one thing that I just want to say is, when you start to do the inner work and you start to change, the types of friends that you're going to make at that higher level, so much better.
And it's more fun. It's why you see people who achieve at high levels, like Olympic athletes, and they become friends because it's like, wow, I get that, and they have that desire, and they push each other and challenge each other. I was talking to someone yesterday who was not feeling, I'm not supposed to outshine my mom, and it's like, okay, but imagine you're doing track and field in the Olympics and you're slowing down to let somebody else win the race. No, run as hard as you can and say, look, if you want to beat me, you're going to have to run faster. And that benefits everybody.
Yeah. It's so interesting that program, right? That you're not supposed to make more money or be more successful than your parents. If that were the case, we'd really be a society of regressors.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, the law of the universe is for more life. It's for expansion. That defies the very law of nature.
So many of our limiting beliefs do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. In fact, I would be willing to say all of them do. That's why they're limiting us. Yeah. We can feel through our discord that something's off within us. Yeah. And we're not, and I've said it before, If it is not a law of the universe, then it's just a belief, and beliefs can be changed.
Please and thank you. Because who is it serving?
Exactly.
and recognizing that it serves some part of us, but some part of it says, well, as a good child, I don't make my parent uncomfortable. And realizing that if we're making those people uncomfortable, that's not their true self. That's their limiting belief self. Any parent who is in a place of emotional freedom wants their child to be as happy and successful as possible.
Absolutely.
I'd be thrilled if my kids, I would say make tons more money than I make, but it's like, but if they want to, it's not a matter of, oh, I want you to go out there and make a lot more money because that's how you prove yourself. But I would never want them to go, oh, I don't want to, because as a parent, it's like, I've done good if they're being the most full expression of themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And recognizing that if you have a parent who doesn't feel that way, they have some limiting beliefs, and you're not serving them by allowing them to stay stuck there.
Right.
I use the analogy sometimes of being out at the ocean, and you're looking at the ocean, and your family's there with their back to the water, and they're like, look who's taking in the view of the ocean. Who do you think you are? It's like, and we have this tendency to go, you're right, and turn our back to the water. It's like, no, tell them to turn their butts around because they're missing out.
Exactly. We have to challenge these things. They are so ridiculous when we see them for what they really are. But if left unchallenged, they will continue to be a limiting factor in your life. They will continue to influence your behaviors, your feelings, your results in life. You have to look at them and you have to see them for what they really are. And you will always see how irrational they are. And the moment that you have that realization, that in and of itself can create a significant shift. Many of our things are just simply not challenged.
Because it feels safer to just leave the status quo. Even if my life is crap, it's my crap. I dealt with it yesterday. I know how to deal with it. I don't want to have to deal with something.
Yeah, well, we all have the choice. Yeah. We can continue on the path that we've been on, right? Hypnosis technique here, right? You can continue on the path that you've been on and just look. Is that going to create the life that you want? Is that what you want for yourself in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Do you want to stay on that trajectory? You have the choice to make positive changes, to be a more empowered version of yourself, to start to feel more self-confident, to feel more self-love. And it's not selfish because you cannot give what you do not have. And if you're not happy, I'm sorry, you can put on the fake smile. Nobody's buying it. They're picking up on your energy. It comes out in the way that you communicate. You're projecting your negativity, your limitations onto your children and your family and your friends. You're not being the best version of yourself. You're not being a valuable contribution to the world by holding on to your crap. And yeah, sometimes it can be a little challenging to face some of the things that we've been doing to ourselves. But you're already feeling the discord. You're already feeling the misalignment within yourself. Pretending it's not there is not making it go away. So just face it. It'll only hurt for a minute. And then be on your right path, because where are you going to be in 5 years, 10 years on that more empowering path? It's going to look a whole lot different than if you stay on the path that you've been on. And it's exponential, right? So every little step in the right direction is taking you further in the right direction. Every little step doing the same old disempowering, hurtful, unloving things to yourself is going to take you on that negative trajectory. So it's a heart to heart that everyone needs to have with themselves. And it's something that oftentimes you don't just do it once. You keep revisiting it over and over and over. You keep recommitting over and over and over again. I always say to my clients, you want to be predominantly focused on what you want, on where you're going, on your goals, your dreams, your aspirations. Focus on what you want. Be in the vibration of what you want. Because as you're on that path, you're going to bump up against your old stuff. And that's when you deal with it. Yeah. And you do your work, and then you get back focused on what you want. The majority of your time, you should be focused on what you want. There will be no shortage of opportunities for your old stuff to come up. I promise you.
It's like walking down, if you're walking down a street and you know where you're going to, and if you gum on your shoe, you scrape it off as you're walking. And, recognize, oh, okay, that may be slowing me down. I'm going to scrape it off, but not sit down and go, okay, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to dwell on.
When did I step on the gum? Why did this happen to me?
Right.
Did I do something? Is God punishing me?
How did I deserve this?
Yes. Yeah.
And like you said earlier about it not being selfish, it is such your success benefits the world. When we have the freedom to give the best of what we have, and it up levels in so many different ways, not just in the services that we provide, but in the example that we provide to other people, so that people can say, oh, I'll have what she's having, and recognize and saying, hey, what are you up to? What are you doing? And being able to say, okay, here's my mindset. Here's what this is. And then passing that on to our kids and creating this society where people have this awareness of, okay, I'm awesome. I have awesomeness to share. I deserve to receive awesomeness in my life. And it makes a difference in so many ways. You were talking earlier about the people who seem to be really successful and have it all together, but there's all that stuff going on underneath. And we see it played out in how they behave towards other people. Anyone who is, we have this idea of self-love being conceited. And I'll say, no, if there's any conceit there, it's not real self-love.
True.
If I recognize that I'm worthy of love, I'm going to recognize you're worthy of love. If I say I'm more lovable than you, I'm kidding myself.
Right. Exactly.
So anybody is out there and has that arrogance and is putting people down, they're dealing with some stuff that they're telling you they're not dealing with.
Yep, exactly. And that's oftentimes where I will kind of point out to people, the bully is the bully because they're hurting inside. The bully is the bully because they're insecure.
Yeah.
So if we want to be the best version of ourselves, we really do need to let go of all of the untrue things that we're holding on to that have us so convinced that we're not good enough, we're not lovable, there's something fundamentally wrong with us, that we don't deserve to be successful, we don't deserve to have more prosperity in our lives, we don't deserve the loving relationship or the beautiful, healthy, vibrant body. Nothing could be further from the truth.
Yeah, there is nothing that is too good for you. So please have that mindset because it benefits the rest of us.
The world would be a much better place if even when you walk into the grocery store, people were happy.
Yeah.
When you're driving down the road, you're not driving defensively because there are dozens of people with road rage and anger and all sorts of negative, unresolved stuff. The world would be a way better place if everyone stopped this crazy, insane idea that it's not good to love yourself. It's not, you shouldn't go for your dreams. You might outshadow somebody. Somebody might not like you, right? So challenge those things, because that person who doesn't like you, they don't like themselves. Are you going to let that stop you? That person who's out of alignment anyway, they're miserable anyway. If they're not miserable with you, they're going to be miserable with somebody else. And they probably are too, right?
You can't suffer enough to make them happy.
Yes. Are you going to stop yourself from your happiness, your success, you fulfilling your mission, your purpose in life, you helping the people who you are divinely aligned with helping, because someone's an asshole? So we've got to work on these things. We've got to let this stuff go, because the mind will say, oh, it's much safer not to even put myself in that precarious position, right? But we have to be willing to challenge that, because you are not honoring yourself by playing small.
Yeah, you're depriving yourself. And it's not to should on anyone and say you should do.
Do it because you want to.
It's an invitation. Do it because you want to live the life that you deserve, and then be that example to other people.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that has something to do with mindset, right?
I joke, I say, I love to get in people's heads. And that's not a bad thing. That's a really good thing. Right. So as an EFT practitioner, as a hypnotherapist, as a coach, we are influencing our clients. But when we're coming from a place of service, and I always say, you've got to put your own stuff on the shelf. When you're working with a client, we've talked about this before, you let it flow through you. There is a service. We are being almost like a channel in many respects for exactly what our client needs to create those internal shifts. And it does happen in the mind. And a lot of people think the mind is the brain, but they're distinctly different, just like everything, interrelated, but distinctly different. And so I think even science has said, there's seems to be there's brain matter in the heart. We know that, right? But the beliefs, and we know this from EFT, that we're storing this stuff all over our physical and energetic body. So we know that it's not just all in here, but we've got to get in there and we've got to create those shifts, because they're not serving us. And the way that we've been conditioned throughout our life is not exactly the best conditioning. So do the work. Let somebody get in your head, the right person, hopefully, somebody you resonate with, somebody you trust, and give yourself that gift of transformation. I know for me, when I started my deep healing journey, I booked sessions with every different type of holistic practitioner, one being an EFT practitioner, one being a hypnotherapist. I went to different types of energy workers. I had to surrender, and I had to allow myself to start to heal. But then I started to recognize, hey, I have this capacity within me. And then I became more of a co-creator with my coaches and my guides and my mentors. And it's a beautiful dynamic dance that we're doing together. And it's a partnership, and we're working together. So as much as I joke that I'm getting in people's heads, it's very much a co-creative type of process.
That's right. As soon as you said that about getting inside their head, I thought, You're an interior designer.
That's right.
And sometimes you get into it's like when you get into someone's house and it's like, where did you get this crap? Why did you think that sofa went with that carpet? No, 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 no. We're going to feng shui the heck out of this place.
And isn't that what a lot of people's minds look like? Just a whole lot of mismatched stuff.
Yeah.
That does
Hand-me-downs,
not
all
go
this
together.
hand-me-down furniture.
Yeah, it's not working. Yep, it's all hand-me-downs, stuff from the thrift store. And it doesn't fit who you are. It's not congruent with who you really are. You've got to clean that up. You've got to create that new environment for yourself that's congruent with who you really are.
Yeah. And as you said, it's a co-creation. So it's not a matter of hiring some interior designer who comes in with their ideas of, well, I really like greens, so everything's going to be in a shade of green. And you're like, I like blues. So it's but having somebody who has that experience to say, you can do better than this.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's find your right color. Let's find the things that make you feel good. What makes you feel aligned with you, you alive with you feeling a zest for life.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're going through your life going, yes, this is what I want. This is good. Awesome. Awesome. Well, Alicia, thank you so much for the work that you do and for spending some time with us. And it's a pleasure as always speaking with you.
It was my pleasure. And I hope we maybe planted a couple of seeds in a couple of minds, and those seeds can germinate, and a couple of people can say yes to themselves and drop some of that old stuff. It's time to start saying yes to yourself.
I just recently heard the expression, say yes to life as hard as you can. Say yes to yourself as hard as you can. Well, thanks for helping us say yes harder.